I'm standing still, the world still moves. I'm counting sheep to try to fall asleep, wondering why I'm the only one.
Good. Editor. I did not stop the music. What? Nope. Alright. You can hear me? Hello, hello. Let's make sure this is looking good. Alright. Sorry I'm an hour late, guys. I know I've been keeping to the schedule pretty well up until I think this is not the end of the day is Fridays. I might have to push back Fridays to 3. I've noticed, I think that happened last Friday too, where I got on a little bit later as well. It's just like on Thursday, I stayed up like almost an hour past my bedtime, and which means I'm waking up an hour late, which means I'm getting to everything hour late, and I was already 30 minutes late, and I was like, I could quickly jump on and do it, or I could take a shower and then start my stream. And so I decided to start the shower and then start the stream, and that's why we're here. We're going to do a Berkshire Hathaway reading. We're doing our second one today. So I'm going to pull up that real quick. Investing. Shareholder letters. And we did the 1977 one, so we're going to do the 1978 one today. It looks just as long. I think just like this time, I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. YouTube intro, YouTube outro, and then YouTube intro, read, YouTube outro. Try and not talk too much through it. Especially since last time when I read it, he was very clear. It seemed great. If we have extra time, I'm probably not going to do it on today's stream, which I probably should, which is take notes from the last one and this one of the Berkshire Hathaway. I'll probably focus in because we have some car issues we got to take care of today. To get the cars working. It's, doing normal human stuff. Anyways, but I'll probably work on getting more of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards put into the TCG player, and then organize them, and if we have, and that's probably all I'm going to do. I want to say that I'm going to play more Yu-Gi-Oh because I want to play more Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's quite a nice day out, and I haven't gotten out yet, so, I haven't even finished my coffee. That's what kind of day it has been today. There's still dishes that need to be done. That's what kind of day it is today. I'm not sure if I'm going to be streaming this weekend. Normally I do try and get on, but because I've been streaming like Monday through Friday, I think I might need the weekends to myself. I want to promise you guys that I'll be on to play, but I think because next week is our last week where I'm for sure only doing the Thursdays and Friday streams, and then but I've been getting on Monday through Friday. So since next week is our last week of that, and next month I'm starting up confirmed 3 days, I kind of want to make sure I have that time to rejuvenate, especially since the last 2 weeks I've been feeling myself like after I get done streaming, I do the lunch break and do the cat cam. I've been checking out. I've been checking out. So I really need to make sure I get those times to rejuvenate and to recoup. So I'm going to say that I might be on the weekend to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! But if you don't see me, especially if it's a nice weekend, I'll be back on Monday most likely, because I have been Monday through Friday. And again, next week is the last week. And so you're going to be seeing, I'm going to be working on the stream probably this weekend if you don't see me, to make sure that we have links fixed up, that the chat bot is not going to be as crazy as it's been, that I have things on here that I could have marked off that I haven't marked off. What is this? I love marking things off. Monster. Okay. Let's see, what else are we going to be doing? Yeah, I'll just be working on fixing up the stream a bit, adding to the to the schedule on here, so you guys can see when I'll for sure be streaming, confirmed. And I might even push back on Fridays when I adjust everything. I might be pushing back that I'll be getting on at 3 p.m. my time instead of 2, since that's kind of accidentally happened both times because I stayed up a little bit later on Thursdays and woke up later today. So yeah, I think that's just something that, as I'm learning my schedule and how things function, it's just something that will be adjusted. But yeah, in 2 weeks, after next week, we'll be doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for sure. Maybe Fridays an hour later than Wednesdays and Thursdays. I think that might happen. I'm going to leave it where it's at to see if next Friday, if I'm going to be capable of getting on at 2, like I think I should be able to. But if I'm not and I get on at 3, then I'll just adjust it, and the next month, Fridays will be at 3, Wednesdays and Thursday will be at 2. We're getting somewhere, folks. We're getting somewhere. We're figuring it out one thing at a time. Record Pokemon. Oh, I did that too. Oh, I think this pen is dead pretty much. I'm using it until it's fully dead though. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Do. Alright, but let's get into this Berkshire Hathaway read. Once I mark that off, because that makes me feel satisfied. Alright. This is what happens after a shower. I get too hyped. I'm way too hyped for this. And now I'm going to have to write on this one, take notes from Berkshire Hathaway too. See, as I mark things off, I have to add things. Why is life like this? Why has life got to be like this? I got messages and Instagram posts to do I have not done, so please give me... I'll reach out to everyone appropriately. I just need to get my shit together today. It's a Friday, okay? Everyone's a little lazy on Fridays, even I. It can't be helped. It can't be helped, guys. Fridays, lazy days. Okay, I need to get that water refilled too. Water. Okay, I'm done being weird. I'm not, but for now. Though I liked reading this off of here, I want to see, it's kind of small, so I'm gonna actually show you guys the screen real quick. Maybe that's what no, I don't like showing people my screen when I'm on YouTube. That stuff gets weird real fast, but I'm gonna show you guys for a second. Okay. Look how flippin' tiny this is. You see that? I'm reading off like a fourth of the page. So my question is, how do I zoom in? I need zoom in. Is there any way? But I might just suffer with it for today. But that's something I do need to figure out, because that ain't okay. It's so tiny. It's so tiny. All right. That's all right. Delicioso. Let me get comfy. Get into my reading voice. You know, the soft and the light, the ambiance. Make sure this is camera set up well. Wow. Just high enough that it almost sees the wood, but not that it does. Not your wood, my wood. Is that a sexual term? Oh, I'm a demon on the inside with a face of an angel. Alright, let's do this. Let's do it. I'm gonna get this done. I feel parched right now, even though I drank plenty of water yesterday. I guess this is some of the first water I drank today, so that explains it. Don't be surprised. Alright. I'm ready. You can do this. It's Friday. That's what I'm feeling. Now, really what I want to do is just play with my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm a baby. Okay. A little moment here. Hello guys, and welcome back to Leah's Lifestyle. Today we have another Berkshire Hathaway letters to shareholders. Today we are doing the 1978. Last week we did 1977, and I'm just going to read through it, not leave any of my comments or what I want to say, and then we can chat about it on live sometime. So come over and hang out with me on Twitch. Without further ado, let's get into the letter. 1978. To the shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway Inc. First, a few words about accounting. The merger with Diversified Retailing Company Inc. at year-end adds two new complications in the presentation of our financial results. After the merger, our ownership of blue chip stamps increased to approximately 58%, and therefore the account of the company must be fully consolidated in the balance sheet and statement of earnings presented of Berkshire. In previous reports, our share of the net earnings only of blue chip had been included as a single item on Berkshire's statement of earnings, and there had been a similar one-line inclusion on our Berkshire sheet of our share of their net assets. This full consolidation of sales, expenses, receivables, inventories, debt, etc., produces an aggregation of figures from many diverse businesses: textiles, insurance, candy, newspapers, trading stamps, with dramatically different economic characteristics. In some of these, your ownership is 100%, but in those businesses which are owned by blue chip but fully consolidated, your ownership of Berkshire shareholder is only 58%. Ownership by others of the balance of these businesses is accounted for by the large minority interest items on the liability side of the balance sheet. Such a grouping of balance sheets and earning items, some wholly owned, some partially owned, tends to obscure economic reality more than illuminate it. In fact, it represents a form of presentation that we never prepare for internal use during the year, and which is of no value to us in any management activities. For that reason, through the reports, we provide much separate financial information and commentary on the various segments of the business to help you evaluate Berkshire performance and prospects. Much of this segment information is mandated by SEC disclosure rules and covered in management discussions on page 29 to 34. And in the letter, we try to present to you a view of our various operating entities from the same perspective that we view them marginally. A second complication arising from the merger in that the 1977 figures show in this report differ from the 1977 figures shown in the report we mailed to you mailed to you last year. Accounting conventions requires that when two entities such as Diversified and Berkshire are merged, all financial data subsequently must be present as if the companies had been merged at the time they were formed rather than just recently. So, the enclosed financial statement, in effect, pretend that in 1977 and earlier years, the Diversified Berkshire merger already had taken place, even though the actual merger date was December 30th, 1978. This shifting base makes comparative commentary confusing, and from time to time in our narrative report, we will talk of figures and performance of Berkshire shareholders as historically reported to you rather than as restarted after the Diversified merger. With the preamble, it can be stated that with or without restated figures, 1978 was a good year. Operating earnings exclusive of capital gains at 19.4% of beginning shareholders. Investments were within a fraction of our 1972 record. While we believe it is improper to include capital gains or losses in evaluating the performance of a single year, they are an important component of the longer-term record. Because of such gains, Berkshire's long-term growth in equity per share has been greater than would be indicated by compounding the returns from operating earnings that we have reported annually. For example, over the last 3 years, generally a bonanza period for the insurance industry, our largest profit producer, Berkshire's per share net worth, virtually has doubled, thereby compounding at about 25% annually through a combination of good operation earnings and fairly substantial capital gains. Neither this 25% equity gain from all sources nor the 19.4% equity gain from operating earnings in 1978 is sustainable. The insurance cycle has turned downward in 1979, and it is almost certain that operating earnings measured by return on equity will fall this year. However, operating earnings measured in dollars are likely to increase on the much larger shareholders' equity now employed in the business. In contrast to this cautious view and near-term return from operations, we are optimistic about prospects for long-term return from major equity investments held by our insurance companies. We may no attempt to predict how security markets will behave, successfully forecasting short-term stock prices movements, and something we think neither we nor anyone else can do. In the longer run, however, we feel that many of our major equity holdings are going to be worth considerably more money than we paid, and that investment gains will add significantly to the operating returns in the insurance group. Sources of earnings. To give you a better picture of just where Berkshire earnings are produced, we show below a table which requires a little explanation. Berkshire owns close to 58% of Blue Chip, which, in addition to 100% ownership of several businesses, owns 80% of Westco Financial Corporation. Thus, Berkshire equity is Westco's earnings is about 46%. In aggregate, businesses that we control have about 7,000 fully time employees and generate revenue for over $500 million. The table shows that overall earnings of each major operating category on a pre-tax basis. Several of the businesses have low tax rates because of significant amounts of tax-exempt interest and dividend income, as well as the share of those earnings belonging to Berkshire both on pre-tax and after-tax bases. Significant capital gains and losses attributed to any of the businesses are not shown in the operation earnings figure, but are aggregated on the
realized secretary's gain line at the bottom of the table because the various accounting and tax intricacies, the figure in the table should not be treated as wholly right, but rather viewed as close approximations of the 1977 and 1978 earnings contributions of our constituent businesses. Okay, let's go over this table. It says in thousands of dollars, and it's 1978, 1977, 1978, 1977, 1978, 1977, and the back and forth, so it's 1978 and then 1977 total Berkshire shares and Berkshire shares again. And for the first two total Berkshire shares, above that it says earnings before income taxes, and for the last Berkshire shares of 1978 and 1977 it says net earnings after tax. So just remember, that's going to be the numbers I'm going to read is 1978 to 1977 total, 1978 and 1977 Berkshire Hathaway underneath earnings before income taxes, and then 1978 1977 Berkshire Hathaway net earnings after taxes, just so you guys have a visual. And of course the link will be underneath down below in the comments if you want to go check it out yourself. So I'm just going to read what it says and then go through the numbers, all right? Total, all entities, 66,180, 57,089, 54,350, 42,234, 39,242, 30,393. Earnings from operations, insurance group, underwriting, 3,000, 5,800, 3,000, 5,800, 1,560, 3,007. Net invested income, 19,700, 12,800, 19,691, 12,080, 800, 16,400, 11,360. Berkshire Wambeck Textiles, Associated Retail, 2,900, 620, 2,916, 620, 1,342, 322. Associated Retail Short Inc., 2,757, 2,775, 2,757, 2,775, 1,176, 1,429. See's Candies, 12,482, 12,840, 7,013, 6,598, 3,049, 2,974. Buffalo Evening News, 2,913, 751, 1,637, 389, 738, 158. Blue Chip Stamps Parent, Illinois National Bank, and National Bank. No, it's Blue Chip Stamps Parent, 2,133, 1,091, 1,198, 566, 1,382, 892. Illinois National Bank and Trust Company, 4,822, 3,800, 4,710, 3,706, 4,262, 3,288. Corporation Parent Mutual Saving, Corporation, and I think that's Corporation Parent, 1,771, 2,006, 777, 813, 665, 419. Mutual Savings and Loan Association, 10,556, 6,779, 4,638, 2,747, 3,042, 1,946. Loan Associations, 10,556, 6,779, 4,638, 2,747, 3,042, 1,946. Interest on debt, 5,566, 5,302, 4,546, 4,225, 4,255, 2,349, 2,129. Others, 720, 165, 438, 102, 261, 48. Total earnings of operations, 52,384, 42,891, 4,955, 31,427, 30,052, 23,080. Realized security gains: 13,796, 14,198, 13,395, 10,807, 9,190, 7,313. Total earnings: 66,180, 57,089, 54,350, 42,234, 39,242, 30,039, 30,339. Okay. Essentially, it's saying it looks like they're doing better each year. Continued. Blue Chip and Wesco are public companies with reporting requirements of their own. Later in this report, Blue Chips and Wescos are public companies with reporting requirements of their own. Later in the report, we are reproducing their narrative reports of the principal executives of both companies, describing their 1978 operations. Some of the figures they utilize will not match to the penny, the ones we use in the report, again because of accounting and tax complexities. But their comments should be helpful to you in understanding the underlying economic characteristics of these important partially owned businesses. A copy of the full annual report of either company will be mailed to any shareholder of Berkshire upon request to Mr. Roberts H. Bird from Blue Chip Stamps, 5801 Southeastern Avenue, Los Angeles, California, 940. Or to Miss Betty Becker for Wesco Financial Corporation, 315 East Colorado Boulevard, Pasadena, California, 91109. Textiles. Earnings of $1.3 million in 1978, while much improved from 1977, still represent a low return on the $17 million of capital employed in this business. Textile plant and equipment are on the books for a very small fraction of what it would cost to replace such equipment today. And despite the age of the equipment, much of it is functionally similar to new equipment being installed by the industry. But despite this bargain cost of fixing assets, capital turnover is relatively low, reflecting required high investment levels in receivable and inventory compared to sales. Slow capital turnover, coupled with low profit margins on sales, inevitably produce inadequate returns on capital. Obvious approaches to improve profit margins involve differentiation of products, lowered manufacturing costs through more efficient equipment or better utilization of people required toward fabrics enjoying stronger market trends, etc. Our management is diligent in pursuing such objectives. The problem, of course, is that our competitors are just as diligent doing the same thing. The textile industry illustrates in textbook style how producers of relatively undifferent goods in capital-intensive businesses must earn inadequate returns, except under conditions of tight supply or real storage. As long as excess productive capacity exists, prices tend to reflect direct operating costs rather than capital employed. Such a supply excess condition appears like to prevail most of the time in the textile industry, and our expectations are for profits of relatively modest amounts in relation to capital. We hope we don't get into too many more businesses with such tough economic characteristics, but as we have stated before, 1. Our textile businesses are very important employers of their communities. 2. Management has been straightforward in reporting on problems and energetic in attacking them. 3. Labor has been cooperative and understanding in facing our common problems. And 4. The businesses should arrange modest cash returns relative to investment. As long as these conditions prevail, and we expect that they will, we tend to continue to support our textile businesses despite more attractive alternative uses for capital. Insurance underwriting. The number of contributors to Berkshire's overall excellent results in 1978 was the segment of National Indemnity Company's insurance operations run by Phil Leishy on about 90 million of earnings premiums. An underwritten profit of approximately 11 million was realized, a truly extraordinary achievement even against the background of excellent industry conditions. Under Phil's leadership, with outstanding assistance by Ronald Miller in underwriting and Bill Loynes in claims, this segment of National Indemnity, including National Fires, Marine, and Marine Insurance Company, which operates as a running mate, had one of its best years in a long history of performance, which, in aggregate, far outshines those of the industry. Present success reflects credit not only upon present managers, but equally upon the business's talents of Jack Ringwalt, founder of National Indemnity, whose operation philosophy remains etched upon the company. Home and automobile insurance companies had its best year since John Seward stepped in and straightened things out in 1975. Its results are combined in this report with those of Phil Lynch's operation under the insurance category entitled Specialized Auto and General Liability. Workers' compensation was a mixed bag in 1978. In its first year as a subsidiary, Cypress Insurance Company, managed by Milt Thornton, turned in outstanding results. The workers' compensation line can cause large underwriting losses when rapid inflation interacts with changing social concepts, but Milt has a cautious and highly professional staff to cope with these problems. His performance in 1978 has reinforced our very good feelings about this purchase. Frank De Niro came with us in the spring of 1978 to straighten out National Indemnity's California's workers' compensation business, which, up to that point, had been a disaster. Frank has the experience and intellectual need to correct the major problems of the Los Angeles office. Our volume in this department now is running only about 25% of what it was 18 months ago, and early indicators are that Frank is making good progress. George Young's reinsurance department continues to produce very large sums for investment related to premium volume, and thus gives us reasonably satisfactory overall results. However, underwriting results still are not what they should be and can be. It is very easy to fool yourself regarding underwriting results in reinsurance, particularly in casualty lines involving long delays in settlements. And we believe that situations prevails with many of our competitors. Unfortunately, self-delusion in company reserving almost always leads to inadequate industry rate levels. If major factors in the market don't know their true costs, then competitive fallout hits all, even those with adequate cost knowledge. George is quite willing to reduce volume significantly if needed to achieve satisfactory underwritings, and we have a great deal of confidence in the long-term soundness of the business under his direction. The home state operation was disappointing in 1978. Our unsatisfactory underwriting, even though partially explained by unusual incidences of Midwestern storms, is particularly worrisome against the backdrop of very favorable industry results. In the conventional lines written by our home state group, we have confidence in John Ringwald's ability to correct this situation. The bright spot on the group was the performance of Kansas Fire and Casualty in its first full year of business. Under Floyd Taylor, this subsidiary got off to a truly remarkable start. Of course, it takes at least several years to evaluate underwriting results, but the year signs are encouraging, and Floyd's operation achieved the best loss ratio among the home state companies in 1978. Although some segments were disappointing, overall our insurance operations had an excellent year. But of course, we should expect a good year when the industry is flying high, as in 1978. It is a virtual certainty that in 1979, the combined ratio, see definition on page 31, for the industry will move up on at least a few points, perhaps enough to throw the industry as a whole into an underwriting loss position. For example, in the auto lines, by far the most important area for the industry and for us, CPI figures indicate rates overall were only 3% higher in January 1979 than a year ago. But the items that make up loss costs, auto repair and medical care costs, were up over 9%. How different than year-end 1976, when rates had advanced over 22% in the preceding 12 months, but costs were up 8%. Margins will remain steadily only if rates raise as fast as costs. This assuredly will not be the case in 1979, and conditions probably will worsen in 1980. Our present thinking is that our underwriting performance relative to the industry will improve somewhat in 1979, but over other insurance management problem views its relative prospects with similar optimism, someone is going to be disappointed. Even if we do improve relative to others, we may well have a higher combined ratio and lower underwriting profits in 1979 than we achieved last year. We continue to look for ways to expand our insurance operations, but your reaction to this intent should not be under restrained joy. Some of our expansion efforts, largely initiated by our chairman, have been lackluster. Others have been expensive failures. We entered the business in 1967 through purchase of the segment which Phil Leachy now manages, and it still remains, by a large margin, the best portion of our insurance business. It is not easy to buy a good insurance business, but our experience has been that it is easier to buy one than create one. However, we will continue to try both approaches since the rewards for success in this field can be exceptional. Insurance investments. We confess considerable optimism regarding our insurance equity investments. Of course, our enthusiasm for stocks is not unconditional. Under some circumstance, common stock investment by insurers may make very little sense. We get excited enough to commit a big percentage of insurance companies' net worth to equities only when we find 1. A business we can understand, 2. The favorable long-term prospects, 3. Operated by honest and competent people, and 4. Priced very attractively. We usually can identify a smaller number of potential investment meeting requirements, 1, 2, and 3, but 4 often prevents action. For example, in 1971, our total common stock position at Berkshire insurance subsidiaries amount to only $10.7 million at cost and $11.7 million at market. There were equities of identifiable excellent companies available, but very few at interesting prices. An irresistible Footnote: in 1971, pensions found managers invested at a record 122% of net fund available in equities. At a full price, they couldn't buy enough of them. In 1974, after the bottom had fallen out, they committed a then record low of 21% to stock. The past few years have been different story for us. At the end of 1975, our insurance subsidiaries held common equities with a market value exactly equal to costs of $39.3 million. At the end of 1978, the position had been increased to equities, including a convertible preferred with a cost of $129.1 million and a market value of $216.5 million. During the intervening 3 years, we also had realized pre-tax gains from common equities of approximately $24.7 million. Therefore, our overall unrealized and realized pre-tax gains in equities for the 3-year period came to approximately $112 million. During the same interval, the Dow Jones Industrial Average declined from 852 to 805. It was a marvelous period for the value-oriented equity buyer. We continue to find our insurance portfolios small portions and really outstanding businesses that are available through the action pricing mechanism of security markets at price dramatically cheaper than the value inferior business command on negotiated sales. The program of acquisition of small fractions of businesses, common stock, at bargain prices, for which little enthusiasm exists, contrasts sharply with general corporative acquisition activity, for which much enthusiasm exists. It seems quite clear to us that either corporations are making very significant mistakes in purchasing entire businesses at prices prevailing in negotiated transactions and takeover bids, or that we eventually are going to make considerable sums of money buying small portions of such businesses at the greatly discounted valuation prevailing in the stock market. A second footnote. In 1978, pension managers, a group that logically should maintain the longest of investment perspectives, put only 9% of a net available funds into equities, breaking the record low figure set in 1974 and tied in 1977. Oh, come on. We are not concerned with whether the market quickly revalues upward securities that we believe are selling at bargain prices. In fact, we prefer just the opposite, since in most years we expect to have funds available to be a net buyer of securities, and consistent attractive purchases is likely to prove to be of more eventual benefit to us than any selling opportunities provided by a short-term run up in the stock prices to level at which we are unwilling to continue buying. Our policy is to concentrate holdings. We try to avoid buying a little of this or that when we are only lukewarm about the business or its price. When we are convinced as to attractiveness, we believe in buying worthwhile amounts. Equity holding of our insurance companies with a market value of over $8 million on December 31st, 1978 were as followed. So first is going to be number of shares, companies, the cost, and the market that they got it at. I need a little water. $246,450 of American Broadcasting Companies, Inc. at $6,082. The market at $8,626. $1,294,308 of Government Employees Insurance Company common stocks, $4,116, $9,060. 592,650 of Interpublic Group of Companies, Inc. Jeez. 19,417, market 28,314. 1,066,934 of Kaiser Aluminum and Chemical Corporations, 18,085, market 18,671. 453,800 of Knight Ridder Newspaper Inc., 7,534, market 10,262. 953,750 of Safeco Corporation, 23,867, market 26,467. 934,300 of the Washington Post Company, 10,620, market 43,455. The totals being 94,260 cost, market 163,889. All other holdings, 39,506 at cost, 57,040 at market. Total equities, 133,766, market at 220,929. So they're going up after buying, which is good. In some cases, our indirect interest in earning power is becoming quite sustainable. For example, note our holdings of 953,750 shares of Safeco Corp. Safeco probably is the best run large property and casualty insurance company in the United States. Their underwriting abilities are simply superb. Their loss reserving is conservative, and their investment policies make great sense. Safeco is much better insurance operation than our own. Although we believe certain segments of ours are much better than average, it is better than one we could develop, and similarly is far better than any one in which we might negotiate purchase of a controlling interest. Yet our purchase of Safeco was made at a substantially under book value. We paid less than 100 cents on the dollar for the best company in the business, when far more than 100 cents on the dollar is being paid for mediocre companies in the corporate transactions, and there is no way to start a new operation with necessarily uncertain prospects at less than 100 cents on the dollar. Of course, with a minor interest, we do not have the right to direct or even influence management policies of Safeco. By way, should we wish to do this, the record would indicate that they do better job of managing their operations than we could do ourselves. While there may be less excitement and prestige in sitting back and letting others do the work, we think that it is all one loss by accepting a passive participation in excellent management. Because, quite clearly, if one controlled a company run as well as Safeco, the proper policy also would be to sit back and let management do its job. Earnings attributed to the shares of Safeco owned by Berkshire at year-end management to $6.1 million during 1978, but only the dividends received, about 18% of earnings, are reflected in our operating earnings. We believe the balance, although not reportable, to be just as real in terms of eventual benefits to us as the amount of distributed. In fact, Safeco's retained earnings, or those of others, will run companies if they have opportunities to employ additional capital advantageously, may well eventually have a value of shareholders greater than 100 cents on the dollar. We are not at all unhappy with our wholly owned businesses retained all of their earnings if they can utilize internally those funds at attractive rates. Why should we feel differently about retention of earnings by companies in which we hold equity interest, but where the record indicates even better prospects for profitable employment of capital. This position cuts the other way, of course, in industries with low capital requirements, or if management has a record of plowing capital into projects of lower profitability, then earnings should be paid out to use to repurchase shares, often by far the most attractive option for capital utilization. The aggregate level of such retained earnings attributed to our equity interest in fine companies is becoming quite substantial. It does not enter into our report operating earnings, but we feel it may even equal long-term significance to our shareholders. Our hope is that the conditions continue to prevail in security markets which allow our insurance companies to buy large amounts of underlying earning power for relatively modest outlays. At some point, market conditions undoubtedly will preclude such bargain buying, but in the meantime, we will try to make the most of opportunities. Banking. Under Jean Abbage and Pete Jeffrey, the Illinois National Bank and Trust Company in Rockford continues to establish new records. Last year's earnings amounted to approximately 2.1% of average assets and 3 times the level of averaged by major banks. In our option, the extraordinary level of earnings is being achieved while maintaining significantly less asset risk than prevails at most of the larger banks. We purchased the Illinois National Bank in March 1969. It was a first-class operation then, just as it had been ever since. Jean Abbage opened the doors in 1931. Since 1968, consumer time deposits have quadrupled, net income has tripled, and trust department income has more than doubled, while costs have been closely controlled. Our experience has been that the manager of the already high-cost operation frequently is uncommonly resourceful in finding new ways to add to overhead, while the manager of the tightly run operation usually continues to find additional methods to curtail costs, even when his costs are already well below those of the competitions. No one has demonstrated this latter ability better than Jean Abbage. We are required to divest our bank by December 31st, 1980. The most likely approach is to spin it off to Berkshire shareholders sometime in the second half of 1980. Retailing. Upon merging with Diversified, we acquired 100% ownership of Associated Retail Stores, Inc., a chain of about 75 popular priced women's apparel stores. Associated was launched in Chicago on March 7, 1931, and with one store, 3,200, and 2 extraordinary partners, Ben Rosner and Leo Simon. After Mr. Simmons' death, the business was offered to Diversify for cash in 1967. Ben was to continue running the business, and run it he has. Associated's a business has not grown, and it continually has faced adverse demographic and retailing trends. But Ben's combination of merchandising, real estate, and cost containment skills has produced an outstanding record of profitability, with returns on capital necessarily employed in the business often in the 20% after-tax area. Ben is now 75, and, like Jean Abbage, 81, at Illinois National, and Louis Vincenti, 73, at Wesco, continues daily to bring an almost passionately proprietorial attitude to the business. This group of top managers must appear to an outsider to be an overreaction on our part to the OEO bulletin on age discrimination. While unorthodox, these relationships have been exceptionally rewarding with financially and personally. It is a real pleasure to work with managers who enjoy coming to work each morning and, once there, instinctively and urgently think like owners. We are associated with some of the very best. Warren E. Buffett, Chairman, March 26, 1979. That's funny. This is supposed to be the 78, but apparently it's not. I don't know. I guess it's like was done in 79. I don't remember thinking about that one for the last one, but that's okay. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and don't forget to like, share, and hit that bell icon down below so that way you know every time I post. And leave a little comment. What did you think about this one? Did you listen to the last one? Do you feel like they are as well thought out as I do? Because I think they are fucking amazing. And I don't even know if I have much to comment on, except for just agreeing. Truthfully, they're so well done. But until the next time, guys. Bye. Wow, that was a lot. My goodness, reading these is going to be rough. Let's see. Is Jay Beans here? Oh, goodness. Oh, wow. People were... Wait, is this an old one? It was November 20th. Oh, yeah, that's old. This is... Okay. Jay Beans. Yes! I hope you're having a good day if you're still hanging around. Let's, Let's adjust the stream now. Because I'm going to work on my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Now that I got work done, and then I have some TCG and binder. Yu-Gi-Oh time. I'll probably come back later today to stream some more after I get the card and stuff worked on, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I know I need to do some investing work and whatnot, but I might save that for the weekend. I say that, but then I never do it during the weekend, so I should probably just do it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading cards. Get rid of that. Yu-Gi-Oh! 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 Community. Okay, then, switched over. How long did that take me? About an hour to read through. That makes sense. I think that was about the same last time, too. They are intense, though, reading through those. Whew. Really get me. Some of the words he uses, too, I don't think we really use all of them. I mostly understand what he's saying, but I need to learn a few of the words that he's prescribing there. I think in context I get them, but they're not words that we use very often in the everyday language. Let's see, I think Winged Beast. Are we doing dragons in this one? I think so. Did I just decide I'm gonna... I didn't put dragons back here. Oh, I did put dragons back here. Okay. Yeah, here they are. These are the next ones I'm working on. Okay. Dragons into reptiles. Sea serpents are next. Okay. I only got 2 sea serpents. Let's pull that up. My cat is sitting behind me, like, straight up on, like, in my space. All up in my space. All up. Yes, you. Yes, I'm talking about you. Talking about you sitting all up in my space, ma'am. You know, I'm sitting here? Did you know that? Did you know that I was sitting here? Did you know? Because I think you know, and you just come to take up all the space. You just came to take up all the space. I gotta bring my plants in. Since it's been getting nicer, I've been putting them out there to, like, soak up some of the sun, some of the outsideness, and gotta bring them back in, because it's already 4. It's already 4. Thank you. I appreciate you letting him have my spot back. Oh, man. My leg cramping a little.
leg cramp.
Okay. Let's see here. I think this was updated, right? Yeah, 150 cards. We're at. Oh, let's put some more in here. What do we got? We have some Worm Ugly. And it seems to be. That's a regular HA3. EN024. Yes, perfect. We got 2 of those. I think I'm putting them backwards though, if that's where they go. On the backside. Backside of the dragons. You can get in there. And then we have Worm X. XEX. And this one's a first edition. Also from the H03. EN05. Yes. Boom. One of those. Go behind your dragon. Get in there, reptile. Whoop. Okay, and this one is, we got 2 iron snakes. It's just a regular. It's just a regular iron chain snake. Yeah, I got 2 of those. Bloop. Bloop. And then we have Worm Barsis. What is it? But this is a limited edition. Limited. Worm. Oops. Barsis. HO1. This one. Oh, it was already put in there. I just realized I already did that one. Okay. I forgot, because that was a part of the one that needs to be fixed. Sea Serpent. We got 2 of those. One of them is already put in. This one, but it needs to be fixed. I was gonna keep them out, but I kind of want to make sure I have space for each of them. I don't know which one needs to be fixed anyways. This one is a first edition. And it is Caravan of the Ice Barrier. And HA03. This one. Let's just double check. The last one. EN021. That looks right. Yes. It's nice that they have the pictures there. I really like being able to see them, make sure that they're... Did they match? Okay, and then we got aqua cards here. Aqua, 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 aqua. And then go to insect. And there's this insect one here. Boop, that's already put in. And then we got a plant, rocks, and then we get into the fairies. Okay, so those are going to be... I'm not going to let those go with other ones. Let's see here. Aqua, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah. So we're going to get a new page. A fresh page. I'm actually surprised how fast we're going through this. By we, I mean me. That's what I mean. I mean me. I'm going through this very fast. Very proud of myself. Okay. Let's see here. What's next? What am I doing? I gotta decide how I'm gonna lay them in. That's what I'm doing. I think we're going to do this one first because it's my favorite. And these ones. Then this one. Then we'll get into the insects. This one can go in already because he's already marked into the system. And then we'll do this insect to go with him, plant, and then 2 rocks. Yes, that makes sense. How many? And then I think I'm going to do fairies in their own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thunder tuner. That's a thunder one. Maybe we should, but they're cute. They kind of go with them. But I feel like these could go on the opposite side of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Put those 3 on the opposite side and get a new set for this. And then I'll start putting these on the same one of the fairy ones. Because these are all spellcasters. Yes. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Like there's as many spellcasters as there are trap cards. Okay. Without further ado, let's just start putting them together. It's 4:20. Oh, mi amor, don't we have to leave shortly?
Well,
We
I've
have
been
an
walking
appointment
past
at
this
8.
monitor with my baby saying, I'll deal with that in this.
I'm texting. Okay. Back to this. We are, let's see. First edition, first edition, first edition. Yep, first edition. And then I'll do this one too because it's a first edition. Okay. First edition's first. Romale Abscient. It says Abscient. I don't know. Anyways, LTG. This one. In 030. Yes. One of those. And slip her in. And then we have Dew Dark of the Ice Barrier. HAO3. In 020, perfect. One of those. Evil, what is this one? Evil Swarm Ketos. It's from HO7. This one? Ian 013. Yes, it is that one. Boom. And this one is Mario Kutai from LON, Labyrinth of Nightmare. I'm guessing this one, because there's some where it says Way of Worlds or something like that underneath of it. That looks right. 076. Yep. Okay. And then we're gonna skip 2 because they're just normals, and there's this evil swarm golem. First edition. HA7. It's this one. Just double check. EN053. Yep, and it looks good too, so boop. Get in there. Okay. Let's get the normies set up now. Which is Desert Protector. Let's see. Yep, Crimson Crisis looks good. Mystic Tomato. From 5DS1. I think it's the starter pack, yeah. EN17. Yep, and they look the same too, so perfect. And Go Goram. It sounds like a Go Gadget. Alright. Now we're gonna do the Thunder Bubbies. The Thunder Bubbies. We have 2 that are the same and 1 that's different. They're both first editions. Vylon Prism from SDL1. Structure Deck Realm. Yeah, and it says 2022 reprint, but this says 1996 on it, so looks right. And EN019, perfect. Boop boop. 2 of those. In the backside. And then we have this adorable baby, Battery Man Micro Cell. That one here, not the reprint. Boop. Okay, now on the flowers. I could put them in the back, but there's one too many. And I want them all in the same one. And then I'll add the spellcasters onto the other side. Spellcasting! Okay, let's organize these. How do we want them? That's the first edition. Fluffy bear. I like the fluffy bear. First edition. This has a Goldie on it, so we're going to put that also at the top. These 3. And then that. Yes. Beautiful. As soon as I'm ready, I'm working on it. Okay. First edition ones. Just stick maybe we should come back to this probably, actually. So I gotta get wetty. But we're almost there. We got just trap cards, just magic cards, and then just these guys left. I'm getting so close. But let's see here. I gotta go to get ready for dropping the car off. So, but we got some viewers here. Do you guys want to raid somebody? Is there somebody you guys want to go check out? Let's go see who's on. Who am I following that's on right now? Let's see. Lost and Found. It looks like he's bacon or something like that. It says legal. Oh, it's like what he's gonna be doing. Okay, okay. Also following Hellish Mist. It's a birthday stream. Ooh, you guys want to go drop in on a birthday stream? No, we're not. I need to stop following her. I don't know why I'm following her. And then Glowstick TV, which is just music. I feel like birthday stream is what we should do. What do you guys think? Shall we go check them out? Who wants to come with? Yeah, there you go, guys. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you guys. You're awesome as heck. I'll be back later today. I'm not really sure when, but I'm gonna make my little magic Mackie happen. We'll play some Yu-Gi-Oh, okay? But until then, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you soon. Bye. Who is this?